Radhasan. I'm a product developer at Malvinas. I think we have sponsored JS2 last time. I think some of you have done that. So we had a talk in JS first. Okay. So SAMJS is actually one of the frameworks that we recently started using. And, so I'm going to talk about my, based on my experiences that I had in the past 1 or 2 months when I used the SAMJS on my project. Okay. The architectural patterns, most of you will be knowing what are the architectural patterns on MVC, MVP, those kind of patterns that we use for building applications to provide a basic structure for the application. That's what we use these kind of things for architecture as architectural patterns for our applications. These have been used for a long time, and JavaScript it was actually developed as a web scripting language. So it was supposed to be a scripting language which is meant for creating small snippets in the web pages. So there was not much complexity in the beginning. But nowadays we are using JavaScript for large and complex applications. So what happens is the maintainability suffers now, and the application becomes larger. Actually, we need better, like extensibility, modularity, those kind of things should not be there in the JavaScript code. So for that, we can use the patterns that we have already known. The patterns, just because there is a pattern and it doesn't mean that we should be using it. And so this is a simple thing that I said. To solve a problem, we can use a pattern, but to use a pattern, we should not create problems in our application. That's the main thing. For example, MVC architecture is there, like Backbone.js is a MVC architecture. It's not completely MVC, but it's similar to MVC. And just because it is there, we should not be using it everywhere. Because it is popular, it doesn't mean we should be using it for all the projects that we have. I mean, MVC is for specific set of projects, and there are other projects which require a different way of handling things. So one of our projects had a different set of problems. It actually doesn't need a model. So those kind of projects are, if we have to use Backbone.js, just because we have already used it and we are comfortable and it's popular, we have to create models, those kind of borders will be there, and the design will be not relevant to the problem that we are trying to solve. And this is what MVC or MVP, any architecture is great, but don't abuse it. Abuse in the sense, don't use it for things that it is not meant to be used. So that is when we are looking for the alternates for the problem that we face, and one of the solution is SAMJS. SAMJS is a simple framework which is a RESTful evented JavaScript. It is a basic JavaScript framework. It doesn't have too much of complexities. It's a simple routing. It's similar to Sinatra, creating Sinatra apps, where we will be defining the routes, and for each route we will be having a different functionality. Same way, SAMJS is almost similar to Sinatra. It's simply a controller kind of thing. We define routes, and when we access, hash is a hashtag, everyone will know, HTML hashtag. So we use hashtags for navigating between the different routes within the HTML app. So this is a simple SAMI app where we are creating an app which uses Amstrad template, and there is a GET request for root kind of hash. And then in that we are loading a post.json, it's a JSON loader from the server, and then we will be rendering each of those in the template. This app actually will update the screen. When you run the app, it goes to the root screen. This is a skeleton, a simple app. To get the app running, you don't need to much of the configuration like we used to do in Backbone or any other MVC framework. We have to define the models, we have to define the views, controllers, everything. Instead of that, we'll be doing whatever functionality we need. We can just define. The SAMI.js routes are the major building blocks. To define a route, we just have to call a method route, and then the verb and the functionality that you want in that route, in that particular route. Okay. Okay. Just on request, this can be interactive session because it's like a syntax kind of thing, just saying what it is, and you can ask why. You can ask questions.
What is the main thing on the first thing in HTTP? What is it? Please slide.
Yeah, it's actually it's not the actual URL. In the actual URL, you have hashtags for defining the different sections in the page. Say, for example, you have 3 sections. You can define a hashtag which can point to a different section in the same HTML page. Same, without refreshing the page, we need to have a functionality which is similar to changing the URL.
So what does hash main mean?
In the previous slide, the first one.
Hash main.
Yeah, this actually is the element in the application, in the HTML file. So what happens when you create an app, it actually binds this app to the element main. This is the optional one. Main is that element you are binding. It need not be given. If you don't give an element, it will be bound to the body tag of the application. The whole document will be bound to this app.
I have a question. Is main a DOM element?
Yeah, it's a DOM element.
What is .use?
It's the plugin structure. When I want to use a template mustache, I'll be saying this refers to the app which will use mustache as
So Sami comes with mustache.
Yeah. These are plugins. Actually, SAMI core is only the application, events, routes, and the rendering context. Those are all internals. Apart from that, templating system, logging system, everything comes as a plugin. So, plugin architecture is also one of the major plus points of the SAMI.js. Okay. So, if I don't use mustache, I can't render this one. This render each function when it renders, it will be using a mustache plugin. If I say something else like handlebar, then while rendering here, the handlebar template will be used for rendering the contents.
So Sami very particularly uses URL fragments, hashes, is it? It
there
doesn't do a fallback to like...
Yeah, there are fallbacks. HTML push state, everything is supported.
So how would you define the route then? I'm guessing you wouldn't say hash.
Yeah, this one is actually internally used as a data. If there is no support for HTML5 push state or those history, then it will fall back to the URL based hashing. Okay, there are different methods it can handle. It can fall back to whichever method which is available. And this one is actually this load method. There are the similar methods like that, load, and there is a then method which will ensure that asynchronous process, after it completes, we can do something else after the asynchronous task completes. Say for example, this load, after the post.json is completed, only then it will do the remaining functions. File loading and all, we can't, since it's asynchronous process, if you want to load it into HTML, those templates, you have to wait for the callback. So the flow can be affected. But this one is load, and that's a then method which will ensure that everything happens in sequence. So the render happens before the complete loading of post.json, then the output will be different. It will not be correct. So that is one of the things.
So does load make a GET request?
Yeah, you will make a GET request.
So Sami uses any existing cross-browser Ajax library, or it is written of its own?
This is actually built on top of jQuery. Okay, jQuery is the base for this one. So on the loading, everything happens using jQuery Ajax. This one I already. While setting the routes, you can also use the regex pattern for defining the routes. For example, you don't have to give a specific path to create routes. Say for example, this is by name. After that, I can give any value. So whatever value I pass after this one, it will automatically fall into this route. So here it is just the hash slash. That's all. Here I can use by name. So whenever I give a tag as slash by name, so it will go into this one. SAMI events is similar to jQuery events, but there are specific things that SAMI.js is doing. Say for example, after the app is run, for the app to run, you actually have to do the steps. App.run. Until you do the app.run, all the bindings and routes will not be valid. I can also unload the app. Say for example, I have some events bound to the elements, everything in the app. I run the app. After I unload, all the elements that were bound within the app, they will get unbound. That is also one of the things that SAMI.js provides. Okay. So we don't have to worry about if we create two apps in the same document, even then the events won't conflict with each other. There won't be double triggers of events, those kind of things won't happen because all the events that we bind within an app is only available only in the app's namespace. The app actually creates a namespace, SAMI.js. Okay. Within that namespace, all the events will be found. So, the events that were defined in the other app will not be conflicting with, even if it is the same name, it won't be affecting the remaining apps. Okay. This is a sample event. This is what my test. Test is the event that custom event that we are going to create, and when we trigger the event test with some data, it will use the data to alert it with the on the screen. This is a simple example for events. This is the plugin structure that I was mentioning. So if I want to create a plugin, I just have to create a function which receives app as the argument. So when I use my plugin inside my app, I can call all the methods that were defined in the plugin. Plugin can actually define routes, events, everything in the plugin itself. It doesn't have to depend on an app. I can use those plugins in the apps by simply calling this use and then I can call those routes.
Excuse me. You have used $SAMI to define that. Previously, I think you have not used SAMI directly.
$SAMI and it's an alias. Okay. SAMI is the name, but $.SAMI is just the alias. These are things that I was mentioning. App routes and event bindings into a kind of closure. So as long as the app is running, you will have all the elements available, all the events available. After the app unloads, it won't be available. And then there are lifecycle events as well, along with the app. When the app is running, when the app starts running, and then when it executes a route, there are events for before starting a route, after finishing, after executing the route, those kind of things. Apart from slideshow, I wanted to show you some actual code. I'll show you some.
What was the around and before callbacks? What did it do the around callback and before callback? Previous slide or some line?
Yeah. around and before callbacks or before executing a route, you can do some task. This is similar to in Rails you have before callback and before create, after create, those kind of model callbacks. So similar to that, you can have before callback which will execute before a particular route. That also you can define. And the around callback is a different thing. Before always executes, but around you can actually stop the execution of the route. Before is just a definition that it should execute before a route, executing a route. But around is actually to wrap the route call itself. When you access a route, what happens is the around, it will check for conditions or whatever things that you want, you can add, and then you can decide whether to execute that particular route or not. Say I am accessing a route which goes to a profile page and it's not accessible until I log in. So I can add the login in the around so that I can decide if the user is not logged in, I will not allow the profile page, that route, to be executed. So that is the use of the around. This is a sample thing that I have created just to the text is in text.
Yes.
This is similar to what you've seen in the examples in these slides. I've created a SAMI application which uses the templating system. Template is the simplest templating. And I have defined a route for root, which will load the main page or template, and the username is guest. And then there is another route which says post, which will load a partial, which is post.template, and it will try to load the post.json and render all those posts into a template. Okay, all these methods are the usual things that you will be using in the routes, because in routes you usually will be showing the views, right? So for that, the partial is actually a wrapper which will do all the steps by like loading the template and then interpolating with the data that you want to show on the screen, and then swapping the element from the DOM to this one, the new content.
Just a quick question. So, partial accepts callbacks, whereas dot load is a deferred. It's like
that one-
inconsistent, isn't it?
That I deliberately did that because I want to show all these kind of things are possible.
So you're saying it returns a deferred, but it also accepts callbacks.
Yeah.
Okay.
One is just for showing the example I created this way. Okay, this one is the callback. I can also do something like dot then. I can give the same function in the then callback. What will happen in then is whatever is returned out of this particular call will be passed to the function that is there in the then. I can change the functions as long as possible. Every function execution will actually return its contents to the next in the chain. So this is like a queue. This is to ensure that all the steps are executed properly. Because if I don't load this template, I can't display this post in the because there should be a view already existing so that I can add elements into it. So I'm loading this partial. After that completes, I'm loading the data from the server. This is just a JSON. This title and content. So after loading the JSON, I'm passing the JSON object into the render each of this post.template. Post.template is simple element which takes title and content as the in whatever JSON we pass into this template will be shown. So when I say render each, this will be array. So it can be array of JSON objects. Okay. So for each JSON object, it will be creating a template and interpolate the data with title and content, and it will render each. Then I am doing a append to post. This append to comes here because render will not update the screen. The render is just to load the template with the corresponding data. So whatever data that I am passing here, the post will be interpreted into the template and it will be created as a HTML. Okay, and then I am appending it to the post. This post is actually available in the post template. The output is good. If you can open dashboard, there is actually a link which points to post lot. It's actually pointing to #post, which is a route defined in the JavaScript. It's not going to the server. It's a hashtag which happens within the JavaScript itself. Now, this also enables the push state everything. So history is also maintained.
So how does it load the template? Does it load to Ajax?
Yeah. That's why we are using the load here in the application. It's load. But what partial does is it includes the loading also. Partial will load, it will interpolate, and then there's a method called swap. When you do a swap, what happens is the contents inside this application is not bound to any element. If it is bound to any element, like the example that I showed in the slideshow, like hash main, what will happen is the contents of the hash main will be swapped with the partial contents. Whichever content I have just loaded and interpolated, that will be swapped. So the older contents will be lost and new content will be added. Event context. There is when we execute a route, the SAMJS actually creates an event context. For each route, there is a set of like environment. It will create an environment for each route that it is executing. So, for example, I can define helper. Event context is just to restrict the method calls to be executed only inside the route. If you define a helper method, say for example, I want a method which will alert something, that I can add it as a helper, but I can't execute that in the app itself because I can access only the routes. When I execute a route, inside the route I will be able to access the method which I have defined as a helper. And then there are some special methods like partial load. Those methods are not available in the closure that load method I can't use it here. This load method is available only inside the route because this is created as part of the event context. When something happens as a route or when an event binding gets executed, that's when you get the event context and all these methods are available. Until then it won't be available. So it sort of restricts the execution of methods, helpers, everything into the event context. So it depends on the environment for that particular route based on the parameters. Internal context is also the same, almost same, except that this handles all the view related stuff, templating, interpolating, those things. Event context also takes care of verbs, HTTP verbs and path, those things. Then wait and next, those are all used for, like I said, then is on example, you saw the then, and send is similar to what we have in Ruby. Ruby and Rails, you have a send method where you can actually call a method by using the name of the, passing the method name into the send, something similar to that. Wait and next is for asynchronous. Say I can stop the rendering for some time, and until something else happens, I can stop the rendering, and when I call next, it will continue rendering from there. Okay. These things I've already told. Logging, you can define as many loggers as you want. Whenever you do sammy.log, it will be published to all the loggers that you have defined. So the more details you can get from these links.
So can you go back to what you were talking about use cases? You're basically talking about how SAMI does a little less than Backbone. So like what exactly was your use case? Where, like for example, you actually said that you have to create models. That's not true. You don't have to create models with Backbone. And it comes with a controller and a view, and it's pretty decent. So exactly what scenario does SAMI come into play?
Say I want to access data, which I don't have to structure it as a model.
So that's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
just do an AJAX request and dump it into the view.
Just for the sake of having models, if we have an MVC, then we tend to create models.
I see. Okay.
That's why I mentioned the MVC attributes kind of thing. Because because it is there, we tend to sort of use it. And, when we start a project with Backbone.js, we always think about models views. That is the way we used to think. We normally don't start with defining a road like this is the starting point for my app. That will not be there. So that overhead we can avoid. Instead of thinking about all the models, it's not required and then we use. So that was one of the major things.
Is there other questions? I just have one actually. How big was the app you created with SAMI.js? Was it a huge app or?
No, it's a small app.
Okay, because from what I saw, it looks like if you have quite a big app to develop, it would quickly get kind of messy. Or
it actually supports plugin architecture, so you can.
So you can create.
This actually supports routes, events. You can also add additional functionality by adding plugins, or it even goes well with other platforms, other frameworks. You can even use Backbone along with SAMI.js. There won't be any problem with it.
Okay.
If, say for example, I develop, because if you want to develop a simple app, I don't want to spend time on it, so I just create a simple app. This took around 15-20 minutes. It's created and you can have the app. If you want to expand it, you can actually add other frameworks and expand it. SAMI won't actually affect other frameworks. So it goes well with other frameworks. It's extensible, so that's one of the major points.
Okay. We don't have time for other questions. Okay, so if you have other questions, maybe you can take them offline afterwards. Okay. Thank you very much.